Hi everybody. I'm Danny Parent. I'm the Executive Director of West Virginia Citizen Action Group. Here in West Virginia, we are a proud affiliate of People's Action Institute, and I'll be your MC for today's festivities. We're going to ask that everybody please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat with your name, your organizational affiliation, where you're located, and your answer to the following question. What is at stake for you with rising energy costs, fossil fuels, and/or extreme weather? And as folks are still trickling in, I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. We do have an introduction going in the chat. We're going to keep that up for a minute or two. I'm your host, Danny Parent. And just a reminder, folks, this meeting is being recorded, and please feel free to utilize the chat. Fantastic. Starting to see some of these trickling in, so thank you so much. Seeing folks are renting a place that was built in the 1800s. It's expensive to keep cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Amen. For folks who are still just coming in, I'm Danny Parent. I'm in West Virginia, and so we have a lot at stake in the energy landscape, always have, and probably always will. And I also live in a house that was built in 1918, and our energy costs are skyrocketing. We have some of the highest growing or fastest growing rates in the country. And my organization is foundational to this. Like the reason we exist is for intervention at the Public Service Commission. That's how we came to be. And so defending ratepayers and getting folks organized and advocating for what they need and what they deserve is just so foundational to everything that we do here. Again, thank you for folks who are just joining. I know there's a couple minute buffer, so please have a look in the chat. We've got an intro going. I'm Danny Perrin, I'm your host, and we are about to jump into our agenda. And folks, as we move through it, feel free to continue these introductions in the chat. We want to hear from you. This is all about community and sharing. And so as much as we can join together, I think sharing what we have at stake is what it's all about. Seeing folks from Virginia. Hello, neighbors. Lots of folks from Virginia. Hello, hello. Seeing some friends in Florida. Thank you for joining us. We've got some West Coast friends out here. See some California. Some of the folks on the team producing this are also from California. It's a comfortable noon for us, but you're joining us bright and early. So thank you so much for being here. All right, let's go ahead and pop into the agenda. So if you don't mind, the folks who are sharing to please spotlight our agenda. Amazing. Thank you, thank you. So I'm not going to read through this. Y'all are grown, but wanted you to have a chance to look at it really quick. And now I would love to welcome Brenda Guerra, who is a member of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, to share her energy story, which is also featured on page 7 of our Blueprint for Affordable Energy. Welcome, Brenda.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Brenda, and I've lived in Nevada my entire life. I'm one of 9 siblings, got a huge family, and so I'm the one who's kind of been in charge of paying our energy bill. And I'm not gonna lie to you, over the last few years, I've seen it jump from just a few dollars to close to $30 now. And that's, I don't know if you guys are here in Nevada or not, but that's a tank of gas. And that's just on like an economy style car. And it's just crazy to me because we're not even using more power. We're just using the same amount of energy to stay, alive, keeping our homes cool. I know that I saw someone say in the chat, they have a home that is hard to maintain cool. Same here, right? And it's unfortunate, but NV Energy here in Nevada is sort of kind of a monopoly, so it's very difficult for us to even get like outsourced power. Like if you have solar panels here, you're still having to pay NV Energy for those days where we don't have where we don't have sun. You know, I'm a uh I have a few chronic diseases that I suffer, and as does my mom, and so we're in and out of the hospital maybe 2 to 3 times a year, and that is, detrimental. And we're just trying to maintain our energy bill. And so we both also happen to run our own businesses. And when you run your own business, one check is really just to maintain all of your bills and keep your power on. It's like our mortgage, my car insurance, and my utilities, on top of hospital bills that are accumulating. But I don't get any leniency. I don't have someone waiting for me. Like, my bills just keep accumulating. And when you ask for, any type of grace, you're hit with the fee, which is just, again, extra money that we don't have. Um, I even just did a recent move from the east side of Las Vegas over to North Las Vegas, and I could feel the temperature difference, which is crazy because I used to live next to a power plant, and the temperature difference is at least 10 to 15 degrees. And I'm further out in a little bit more of like a ruralish area, but you can definitely feel the difference from being in the center to being in more of the outskirts. And, like, again, like I said, we've been just trying to maintain keeping our AC on to keep our house cool so that no one's suffering from heat stroke, because that's a real thing. But that's what I've got.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Let's show some love for Brenda in the chat with your emojis. When I opened up the Blueprint for Affordable Energy and saw you, I think on page 7, with your beautiful smile and just opening yourself up to share your story. I knew that when we come together, we can make the change that we need, that your community needs. So thank you so much for being here. Good morning, everybody. My name is Vicki Kaplan. I am the Senior Strategist for Climate Justice Campaigns at People's Action Institute. And I am here because we are United Ratepayers. We are a growing movement of community organizations, of utility ratepayers and supporters organizing to win clean, affordable, and reliable energy for all. People's Action is a proud national network of 40 member-based power building organizations in 29 states with more than 1 million members and tens of thousands of national volunteers. We are from every background. We speak many languages. We live in small towns, cities, and rural areas. We are all of us. And we wrote down the blueprint for affordable energy because we have the solutions. With the blueprint in hand, and here it is, here's a copy. With the blueprint in hand, we know that we can focus our time and our energy on building the power we need to win and enact those solutions. And of course, energy affordability is all over headlines now, but there are a lot of false solutions or talking points without solutions that are going around. Am I right? Do you see that? And this blueprint for affordable energy plus organized people and organized money, that's what's going to equal winning real solutions. I want to thank the members of United Ratepayers. Get the screen share going again. I want to thank the members of United Ratepayers, all the organizations that we'll see in a moment to highlight you. I want to thank the generous reviewers of the blueprint. And I want to shout out a couple special guests whose accomplishments we cite in the blueprint for affordable energy. Shout out to Marta Guzman Aceves, the former EPA Region 9 administrator and former California Public Utilities Commissioner. Shout out to Marissa Gillette, the former chair of Connecticut's Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. And a shout out to Mark Ellis, former chief of corporate strategy and chief economist at the utility corporation Sempra. Marissa and Mark are both now fellows at the American Economic Liberties Project, and we really thank you for being here and for the work that you do every day to advance these solutions with us. And these are the 12 organizations and growing that are the members of United Ratepayers that informed the Blueprint for Affordable Energy. And we're here today to invite you to join us. As you saw on the agenda, Sean Phillips with West Virginia Citizen Action Group is going to share in just a bit how you can be part of United Ratepayers. Our goal for the Blueprint for Affordable Energy is for it to be a righteous and useful tool in the hands of you, organizers, campaigners, and policy decision makers. No report can replace the daily work of talking with our neighbors, growing our organizations, and building power. Power is what will win clean, affordable, reliable energy for all. Later on, you'll also have the opportunity to order copies of the blueprint to pass out during lobby days, to use in community meetings, to use in press conferences. This month, February, is when utility corporations announce their earnings reports. Great time to host a press conference and say, we've got the solutions here. Later this month, we will publish the Blueprint for Affordable Energy and the United Ratepayers website in Spanish, so stay tuned and we will share that with all of you. And now let me quickly show you how to access the Blueprint for Affordable Energy. Okay, let me get this going. Okay, so if you go to unitedratepayers.org, and Amelia should be dropping that link into the chat. Monica, can I get a thumbs up if you're seeing the right screen?
Got it. Yep, you're great.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. All right, so first you'll find an opportunity to join United Ratepayers, sign up there. That's how you'll find out about the launch of the Spanish language blueprint. That's where we'll send updates and announcements, opportunities for action. So go ahead and fill that out, or you can close it out. And then on our United Ratepayers website, just scroll down, and there it is, the Blueprint for Affordable Energy. So if you're following along now, take the opportunity to click Get the Blueprint, and you'll see it right there on your screen. And I just want to highlight a couple pages before I pass it on. As you'll see on page, I think it's page 11. Oh, here we go. Yep. Something that we detail in the blueprint is that as more and more Americans struggle to afford the basics, a lot of folks shared that in your introductions, utilities across the country are touting in their earnings reports the billions with a B in profits that they have delivered to Wall Street shareholders by raising our energy bills. And as we detail in the blueprint, for-profit power utilities extract excessive profits out of wasteful and dirty infrastructure projects. You can see here on page 11 of the blueprint, we show what your utility bill actually means. Utility customers are footed with the bill for wasteful projects in the form of what shows up on your bill as delivery fees on your utility bill each month. But we have a path in the blueprint that Monica will walk us through on how we get out of that mess and where we go from here. On page 12 of the blueprint, we share how we got here, a short history lesson. Today's energy system incentivizes dirty, expensive fossil fuels. 100 years ago, people created the policies that led to that result that we're living with today, which means that people can make new policies. We can make new decisions for a new era. We can build the grid of the future, one that uses clean, renewable energy, that lower costs for working families, and that is resilient in the face of a changing climate. So I'm delighted now to introduce Nike Adeyeye to share a reflection with us. Nike is the senior state strategist at the Climate and Clean Energy Equity Fund, and Nike was one of the generous reviewers of the blueprint who offered her feedback in the editing process. Nike has also been a steadfast supporter and cheerleader of United Ratepayers. So thank you so much for being here, Nike.
All right. Hi. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Vicky, for the invitation to speak and for the invitation to review and just for organizing this great call. So, like Vicky said, I work at the Equity Fund. I work in our policy accelerator, and I support our grantee partners in the Mid-Atlantic and the South as they develop their climate policy priorities. So in that role, I also get to organize a discussion space for our grantee organizations across all 14 states we work in who are working on utility campaigns. And so I've gotten to see that there is a real interest, of course, in sharing strategies and sharing solutions across states and just helping each other be better prepared for the strategies utilities are using, just knowing what's coming from examples you're seeing in other states. And so I think the United Ratepayers campaign is really amazing, just another space for people to really share and have stronger campaigns because they're working together across different states and regions. And I really liked the blueprint when I got to review it is so solutions oriented and it challenges a lot of the talking points that ratepayers hear from utilities. So you're not having to just believe what you're being told. It's a great resource to know, to learn about, what's driving rate increases and ways that we can try to stop this. And also in a past role, I worked as a chief of staff to Commissioner Martha Guzman Aceves when she was at the California Public Utilities Commission. And she was really focused on getting more community voices and community ideas into commission proceedings on the record. So throughout the proceeding, not just at the end during public hearings. And so in that role, I got to see how, one, how difficult that is, and two, how having more people's voices on the record really challenges the status quo. It changes the way proceedings go, and it opens, up the possibility of more innovative solutions. So I'm really hopeful that this document, this blueprint, can be a tool that makes it just a bit easier to enter into those spaces and also just demand the policy changes that, folks deserve that will make energy more affordable, make energy cleaner, and just hopefully it gives everyone, what you need to kind of be a little I don't know, be aggressive in those spaces and push for what we all deserve. So I'm really happy to be in this space with y'all and excited that this campaign is starting.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Brenda, Vicky, and to Nikkei. Now I'll turn it over to the co-author of the Blueprint for Affordable Energy, Monica Marico Embry, to talk us through the blueprint.
Hi, all. Thanks so much. It's so wonderful to be with you this morning/afternoon. I am Monica, or Monica. I use she, her, and a as my pronouns. And I'm a consultant supporting People's Action Institute and United Ratepayers, and happy to be a co-author of this blueprint for affordable energy with Vicky. So I'm going to review some of those solutions that Vicky and Nikkei were just talking about that are really at the intersection of our multiple crises of affordability, climate, pollution, and democracy crises. Because despite the challenges that our communities are facing, and so many of you shared in the chat, the good news is that we do have real policy solutions that will deliver for people's pocketbooks, health, and the planet. And when we come together, we have the power to help them. So the policy solutions that are outlined in our report really are things that states can and should implement, and they don't require action in Washington, D.C. So as many of you know, the rules and regulations that govern private utilities are decisions that are made by state regulators called public utilities commissions or sometimes public service commissions. And in most states, the Public Utilities Commission is made up of 3 to 5, sometimes to 7 commissioners serving anywhere between 4 to 6 year terms. And so the solutions in the blueprint are mostly policies that these regulators can implement, though at some times they may first require legislative or administrative action depending on the laws currently on the books in your state. So we organized the policy solutions into 5 overarching categories, each one with 3 specific examples, as well as some additional cross-cutting policies. And I really encourage you to download the blueprint to learn about all of them. I'm not going to be able to cover all of them today, but I'm going to highlight a few key examples so you can really see what the opportunities are for us to work together. So our first bucket is really about protecting working families. Given the current affordability crisis, where 1 in 4 households is unable to pay their energy bills, we need policymakers to act to protect the most vulnerable families in our communities. And there are many things that they can do. One of the easiest ones is to stop power shutoffs. During the pandemic, we saw 32 states and Washington, D.C. enact utility shutoff moratoriums. And states can bring back those policies and or develop ways to enact them to protect our most vulnerable households. When it's really cold, like we're seeing across the East Coast and South right now, or really hot in the summer are perfect times for that. Or for households who have folks that depend on life-saving healthcare that needs electricity. Our next second policy bucket is to stop fossil fuels. They're expensive, dirty, and unreliable. Given the massive extent and devastating damage that the climate crisis and air pollution crises are having on our communities, we need states to enact policies to stop new and retire existing fossil fuel infrastructure. And there are many ways that states can do that, including setting a strong goal to reduce the emissions comes from coal and gas-fired power plants, which then can be used to limit the types of energy that utilities are allowed to plan and operate. Actions like this are critical for states to take to address climate and air pollution. Our third big policy bucket is about building renewable energy because we know it's cheaper, cleaner, and faster. We know it's not enough to just stop the bad polluting energy in our neighborhoods. We also must build out the clean energy infrastructure that our communities deserve. That clean energy that can help keep the lights on, lower our bills, and put our communities to work. On page 24 of the blueprint, you're going to see an alphabet soup of clean energy solutions. Things like non-wire alternatives, which are ways that we can actually power our homes and our businesses and our communities in the most clean and affordable way. You'll also see ideas about how we can connect clean energy faster, like siting that clean renewable energy generation at the same location where we're working to retire a fossil fuel power plant. That means the wires are already connected. We don't have to build extra transmission and distribution lines and can instead change those electrons and help save energy while advancing clean energy. Our fourth big bucket is around prioritizing families and not Wall Street. On page 5 of the blueprint, you'll see the real examples of runaway corporate greed. We know that utilities are making tons of money off of us. We can see the hundreds of millions of dollars private utility CEOs are taking home in their own compensation for themselves, as well as the billions of dollars that they are funneling to Wall Street investors. What's worse is that this excess utility profit costs US ratepayers $50 billion a year, according to a study by the American Economic Liberties Project. Utility profits are costing us, and states can lower the amount of those approved profits utilities companies get, which will save ratepayers significantly. Our fifth policy is around building the energy system of the future. There's a real risk facing our communities right now about what our energy future will look like. Risks include data centers that are driving up utility bills. We're seeing it in the news all over. The ways that those data centers could keep fossil fuel plants operating and use way too much water. And under current business as usual practices, working families are the ones that are going to unfairly shoulder the burden in those cases. So we need our state leaders to enact proper policy guardrails to ensure that data centers and other new large loads are actually lowering our bills and are powered by new renewable energy resources to help modernize the grid in a way that helps support all of us if they are going to come to our communities. And as many of you know, utilities right now are currently incentivized to overbuild infrastructure. Basically, the way it works is the more they build, the more they profit. They get to pass along all of those costs plus their profit.
I called renovation. They had
This
custom
practice is often known as gold plating. And states can require utilities to significantly reduce that by requiring them to use least cost and still effective solutions, which will save all of us significantly on our bills. And last, we cover a few additional cross-cutting policies that states can consider. Things like alternative financing, where you can tap into other resources besides our monthly bills. Things like taxes, bonds, fees, greenhouse gas reduction funds, and polluter pays fees to cover some of the costs. Opportunities like public power to actually break up corporate utility monopolies, consider locally publicly owned utility models, and if not for the entire power system, for parts of it, as well as dramatically increasing transparency and oversight to make sure that increasing accountability both for our utilities and those regulators at our state to make sure they're doing what's best interest of us, the ratepayers. So I really hope that you'll take the time to read about the amazing people-powered solutions that are happening all across our country. In this report, in addition to laying out what each of these policies are, we provide links to examples of people and places that are actually implementing these solutions today. These solutions will save us money on our bills, that can help protect the planet, reduce our air pollution, and protect our democracy. And so I'm really, really happy to be here with all of you and think about what we can do to help bring clean, affordable energy for us. And with that, hand it back to Dee.
Thank you so much, Monica. That was so much information. And I just want to remind everybody to have a look at the chat so that you can download the blueprint and refer to everything that Monica was just talking about. Next, we're going to be moving into our panel portion. So I will be moderating, and our panelists are going to be Megan Smith from Maine People's Action, Leslie Vega from Plan, Erica Black Johnson from KUFA, and Monica Embry and Vicki Kaplan, the co-authors of the blueprint. Organizers, I'd love it if you would introduce yourselves and tell us which of these 5 solutions are you organizing to win in your state. So I'd like to start with Megan, please, from Maine.
Hi, yes, I'm Megan Smith. I'm an organizer with Maine People's Alliance in Maine, and we are working on something called the Energy Fairness Act in Maine, which really is designing to do a lot of the things, but protecting working families, especially by adding protections for vulnerable populations, including children under a certain age, people over 65, and people with ongoing medical conditions that needs power. Also, a lot of transparency in that bill and pushing for renewable energy and actually basically putting language in for utility environmental justice into our PUC's oversight of utilities in Maine. Also making sure that there are more transparency and limiting a lot of charges that are put onto utility bills in Maine. So it does a lot of things in one bill. And currently it's having a work session today. So the 4th. So hopefully it gets voted on shortly.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that excellent example and that great introduction, Megan. Friends, as you are listening to our panelists introduce themselves and their work, please remember to utilize that chat. You can ask them questions directly, or we can move those questions over. And so I'm happy to field those questions. For our next introduction, Leslie from Plan.
Thank you, Danny. Hi, everybody. I'm Leslie Vega. I work with the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. Nevada has 2 of the fastest warming cities in the country, and I think we're the driest state in the country. We have only one option for our power, that's Nevada Energy, a monopoly. So what we're focused on is protecting working families and prioritizing families from Wall Street. Unfortunately, we have a monopoly that speaks out of the 2 sides of their mouth. On one hand, they admit that for 20 years they have accidentally, oopsies, been overcharging tens of thousands of customers. And on the other side of their mouth, they're explaining that customers that have solar panels on their house are causing inequity, and for that reason that they must raise prices. And then we have a public utility commission that ignores their staff of engineers, their economists, and sides with the investor-owned utility, and will be raising our prices in April. So what we're working on is building on that narrative that investor-owned utilities and these unelected officials are really betraying the common family here in Nevada. And then our North Star is to one day have community solar, solar that is affordable, that is better for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. And next, I want to hear from Erica Black Johnson from KUFA, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erica Black Johnson. I'm a community organizer with Communities United for Action, or KUFA, in Cincinnati, Ohio. And with me here is Tiffany Cox. She just recently connected with KUFA yesterday. And so I invited her to champion along with us and to learn a bit about our energy campaign. I've been an organizer with KUFA since November of 24, but I've been a member since 2017. And what we're focusing on right now is protecting the working families and ensuring transparency and oversight. Like many of you, we have a utility monopoly, a private utility monopoly, and that is Duke Energy. And like most of you, they're recording billions in profits, and yet continuing to subsidize and tax ratepayers to no end. So, and of course, as always, like many of you, we're also continuously working to build our base because, as you know, there's more power in numbers. So thank you all from Cincinnati, Ohio that joined. And yeah, looking forward to sharing some things that we're doing around the state.
Amazing. Thank you so much to our panelists. I love to hear about all of the amazing work that folks are doing and how interrelated the struggles are across all of our states and across all of our geographies. So I've got a couple of questions that I'm ready to go ahead and start with. So has United Ratepayers had success in meeting with and moving policymakers? And I would like to pick on Megan for that one, please.
Absolutely. In Maine and with Maine People's Alliance, we have a fantastic coalition of other organizations working on climate-related issues, and that coalition actually got to be part of the. We found a sponsor for the Energy Fairness Act, and we're actually part of drafting that policy ourselves. So we actually, the state senator who sponsored it, Senator Ann Carney, didn't really think the revisor's office would see the vision there. So everybody from all these different groups got to sit together in working groups and actually draft the legislation that went through. And we've been we've definitely had say in every one of the work sessions going through. So it has been a very remarkable experience for me to be able to say this bill was something that I had my hand in every step of the way. So I will say NPA, we don't just do climate work, and a lot of the other ones do, but I love to be part of that coalition. It's great.
I love that. Thank you so much. This is a very thorough answer. Next up, I have a question about tactics. And I'd like to direct this one to Erica, if that's okay. Erica, what tactics are people using to win these campaigns out in the field?
In addition to building collaborations here in Ohio, KUFA is aggressively trying to build coalition with other organizations throughout Ohio. But in the past, KUFA alone has been instrumental in developing assistance programs like PIP, which is the Percentage of Income Payment Plan, which also falls under the umbrella of Housing and Energy Assistance Plan, or Low Income Housing Energy Assistance Plan, HEAP or LIHEAP. KUFA was very instrumental in getting that program started here in Hamilton County. We also work aggressively to try to prevent shutoffs. We launched a campaign where we went to PUCO and uploaded like a period of public comment where people could submit comments to PUCO to kind of address a shutoff order where that would prevent shutoffs during extreme temperatures for winter and summer. The winter shutoff order was successful, and we got that implemented, and we're still working to try to get that implemented for the summer weather as well. And just recently, we tag teamed with a group in Columbus called Columbus Stand Up Cincy. We went alongside them and supported them during their rate hike case with PUCO. There was some public legislation or public comment, public case that was under convening. So we kind of went up there, and they were successful in collecting over 2,000 signatures on a petition that they delivered to PUCO while we held a press rally outside. It was awesome. And it also led to Columbus. For the first time, Columbus's city council actually spoke out against that and urged PUCO not to authorize their utility provider, which is American Electric Power, from increasing their rates. So, and I think we have a couple links. The organizer for Columbus Stand Up. They're also hosting a roundtable, another panel coming up on Thursday. It's open to anyone, but we have a couple legislators that'll be there and some other policy experts and other organizers from Ohio who will be on that panel talking about different ways that we can prevent costs to our ratepayers. So they'll share that link.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Erica. Thank you for all of those specific examples. I love to hear about delivering so many signatures and just really driving the work. I know in West Virginia, we recently drove over 1,000 comments on a base rate case for AEP, and we were able to defend our Dollar Energy Fund as well, which is a low income assistance. So I just love to see it. I see you in there, Lisa. Thank you. Yeah, amazing. Wonderful. So my next question is going to be for Leslie. Leslie, what has been effective at influencing decisions at the PUC in Nevada?
Public comment and collaboration with our partners. Um, Developing leaders within the community whose biggest stake is their family's health and well-being, the opportunities for their children. Um, Grassroots organizing is probably the most important part of our campaign. And I'll admit, probably one of the hardest parts to admit that a family is financially struggling or having to make sacrifices is difficult. To share that story in a public space and to decision makers in that public space is really difficult. Um, but doing that with our partners, our coalition partners at the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition, which is a statewide coalition, um, bringing diverse voices to public meetings at the Public Utility Commission, developing relationships with our legislators, making sure that these stories aren't just anecdotes of a person that might be momentarily struggling, but that these decisions that they're making have deep repercussions. They impact the quality of sleep that a student might have, and therefore their opportunities in the future. It might impact whether someone can afford their medicine every month, and therefore impact not just their physical health, but also their mental health. And how does this contribute to Nevada becoming a better state, a state that has opportunities? People move here for economic opportunity. So I would say grassroots organizing, having those tough conversations with reluctant community leaders, folks that might not see themselves as a community leader, but it's a common story here that folks are struggling. And the second part of that is definitely building relationships with organizations that have a similar vision of the life that a common Nevada family could live if we were to have accountable officials, accountable decision makers that were really centering the everyday life of a Nevadan.
That's perfect. Thank you. And I cannot overstress to you. Organizing gets the goods, right? It's the grassroots work that gets us to where we need to be. It's only together that we can solve these problems. But Leslie, before we move on, we actually have a follow-up question for you, which is, in your experience, how many public commenters are necessary to shift an outcome at your Nevada PUC?
Um, I'll, I would say if you could bring out four people that are prepped to share their story, you're only going to get 2 to 4 minutes to share that story of who they are, what the problem is, and what their demand is. That's really powerful. If you could bring 4 people from your organization and then invite as many other partners as you possibly can, that's really the way to go. So 4 individuals for your own organization and invite every or other partner organization. If I can give a brief example, the very first consumer session that I organized for Plan, Vicky was there, Sophia was there. I had never organized an event like this, and the Public Utility Commission wanted to approve an increase to the basic service charge in Washoe County from $16 to $45 a month. The basic service charge would have made it the highest charge in the country. Being fairly new to organizing, in my mind, I thought I'm going to need 1,000 people to roll it into that office. And I think we had about 70 people show up and a few different TV networks. And I was very proud. Every single person that went up there was able to give their name and connection to the community, describe the problem, how they were going to be personally impacted or their community would be, and then make a demand. And in unison, everybody said, I urge you to reject this request. And we were just like, we sounded like a choir. Everybody had the same message. But at the end of the day, I was in Vicky's arms crying because we didn't get 1,000 people. I was really upset, and it was a hard pill to swallow. We ended up winning. The PUCN rejected the utilities request. So the number is important, but the most important part is developing your grassroots leaders and really working with your partners, your coalition partners, reaching out to new organizations. And that's difficult. Building those relationships, I'll have to admit, it's difficult, but it's that hard work that really pays off and brings authenticity to your campaign and real people power.
Amen, Leslie. Could not have said it better myself. I love to hear it. And I know when I first started organizing around utilities, and back when People's Action was still cutting this issue and deciding if this was going to be what we worked on, I attended my first Public Service Commission meeting in West Virginia, and I was devastated that I only turned out 3 people. And I got to tell you, we not only won that one, but now all 3 of those people are just such significant leaders in our work too. Organizing gets the goods, you guys. Cannot say it enough. So next I'm gonna bop to a sort of different question, which is how do you tell the story to connect the dots on affordability, extreme weather from climate change, and public health impacts from pollution? And I think I'd first like to pick on Megan for this one, but would also like to invite any other panelists to answer as well. Megan, take it away.
Could you repeat that? My internet just went out really fast. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
of course. How do you tell the story to connect the dots on affordability, extreme weather from climate change, and public health impacts from pollution?
That's a hard one. I think one of the things really is getting out into the community and that education piece. One of the things that our coalition has been working on is like a what's in your utility bill training for people, because there are so many fees and things that people don't understand in their utility bills. And I learned something the first one I attended. So in terms of that education piece and really being able to connect that clean energy is more affordable and dirty energy does harm, because people care about their pocketbooks, they care about taking care of their families. And when you're struggling, that has been the connection that we've really been able to make for people in supporting, clean energy sources instead of wanting to just put out more fossil fuels as energy. So I think that education piece is really just where you need to start, because even I going into a campaign like this was like, utility justice to climate, like I don't know if there's going to be enough, but it's amazing to me to see people at those events really kind of coming on board into climate work that they thought they'd never want to be involved in. So I think that's interesting.
Fantastic. Any of our other panelists want to talk about this for just a second?
I could jump in really briefly. I had the opportunity just last week to deliver a popular education session with members of Green Workers Alliance. Shout out to GWA. I know they're here today. And these were their national leadership um, uh, solar professionals who work on utility scale solar, so installing renewable energy for some of these utility corporations that we're discussing here. And one of the things I learned from them is, people are already connecting the dots, but coming together, in person when possible, right, to actually talk about our experiences helps people to solidify those dots and then move into action and strategy together. And that was real, I've been doing this work for a while, and that was a breakthrough experience I had with GWA workers that it's not our job to connect the dots for people, but to create spaces where we're in relationship with each other, to feel confident that the things that we're experiencing in our lives, we're not alone in those experiences.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vicki, so much for sharing that and for the human element. And I know that we would be remiss to make it all the way through a conversation about utility justice and defending ratepayers without addressing the elephant in the room, which is data centers. Shout out to my West Virginia crew on the call. This is what we're living and breathing right now. And our friends in Virginia and Kentucky and Ohio and Pennsylvania, all up and down the Ohio River Valley, we are in this fight and we're in it together. And I know that we're also seeing this all across the country. So I'm just curious if I could pick on maybe Monica to talk about the policy side, but we're hearing a lot about data centers. How are you guys approaching data centers and utilities?
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, happy to share. And we cover these in Blueprint. So definitely, if you are curious to see more solutions and how people all across the country are tackling this crisis around data centers, it is on page 34 of your Blueprint. But there's multiple things that we need to do because there's multiple crises that are being impacted from data centers. So first and foremost, right, our bills should not go up because a company's decided to move a data center into our community. We shouldn't have to have our power shut off or go into debt because of another private company coming in to our communities. And so we need regulators and state lawmakers to pass policies to make sure if a data center is coming, they have to pay their fair share. They have to pay for the costs to come into our communities and do this. And so there's lots of different costs associated on the energy side with those data centers coming in that we need protection from. Another major issue with data centers coming in is the type of energy that they are using. If they're going to come in and claim they need to keep gas and or coal fire plants online or build new fossil fuel infrastructure to run their operations, that's not acceptable. States and our communities deserve 100% clean energy, and we cannot have decision makers walking back or watering down our commitments to 100% clean energy for all of us because of new energy demand. And so we have to make sure that these, if they do come into our communities, have to have new renewable energy that doesn't take away from the renewable energy all of us need to power our own homes and schools and businesses. And then there's also major concerns and question about other ways to tackle these. I want to shout out an amazing policy toolkit that we have, the North Star Data Center Policy Toolkit, which is linked in the blueprint and has a ton of other resources, information on how to tackle data centers, including fighting them from coming to your communities, addressing water issues, data security, and many, many, many more issues that data centers intersect with as they impact all of us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Monica. And a big shout out to all of our panelists. If you can take a moment and send up some emojis. Thank you guys so much for such a robust discussion. I'm going to kick it now to Sean Phillips of West Virginia Citizen Action Group, near and dear to my heart, to talk about what we can do next. How do we wrap it all up?
Thank you, Danny, and thank you to all of our panelists who answered all of our questions today. Thank you to Vicki for throwing this together. Vicki has been hard at work putting this blueprint together for the last year. And again, thank you for all of you for joining today. I see so many familiar faces and so many people who have joined our cohort in the past. So who is spotlighting the slides? May I see slide 17? Yes. We would like to invite you to join us, and we would like to invite you to join us for the fight for clean, affordable, renewable energy. We'd like to invite you to join our United Ratepayers campaign. If we go to the next slide, we together coordinate actions to maximize power and impact. As mentioned earlier, we are 29 organizations across the states. We have a huge presence. And together we can coordinate strategy, see what's happening, see what's working, and develop the language that we use together to win power. Our next meeting is March 3rd, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Vicky, who coordinates our calls, she is in Pacific time, so 1 p.m. Pacific time. And this is a call where, of course, we're chatting about our strategies, we're chatting about our wins, and we're working together to realize that just because we are state groups, we have so much more power than we ever anticipated. If you'd like to sign on as an organization or a member, you can do so using the link People's Action/ratepayers. You can join as an individual or an organization, and for funders, funding partners, or public officials, you can show your support as a validator. Once you go through this process, we will feature you on our website, and we invite you to our monthly cohort campaign meetings. We do have another ask for you, and it's that you can order your free copies of the Blueprint for Affordable Energy. These copies can be shared with your elected officials in lobbying days. They can be spread to your membership, and they can be used as a tool to start developing the ideas and language to win these campaigns. We do have a recommended donation for our blueprint. They are free, but recommended donation, $10 for one blueprint, $35 for 5 blueprints, and $50 for 20 blueprints. Of course, you are able to download the blueprint in the link that Amelia has shared through the chat several times today. But to have the physical copies, these are the order forms. We will also share with you links to promote on social media and email campaigns. The idea here together is to build the power it takes to win, and it builds the power to take it. Builds the power it takes to change public narrative. We here in the chat are sharing the same concerns. Why are they saying that solar costs more? How do we win this? How do we talk to our legislatures? This blueprint will help. Is the cohort call open to the public? The cohort call is open to you all today. You've been invited. All right. And with that, I do just want to give a thank you again to Monica and Vicky for putting this all together, and to you all for joining today. And I will throw it back to Danny Parent, my executive director.
Thanks so much, Sean. Friends, that is going to close out our agenda, but I would love for you to take some time to fill out either the order form or the donation form. We've got folks, Amelia, I think, is dropping that in the chat for you. Excuse me. It's cold season. So Amelia is dropping that in the chat for you, and we're gonna play some music and give you some time to place your order or put in your donation. And we would love to share this blueprint with you. We would love to talk with you about this blueprint, and we really hope to see you at our cohort meeting. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today, and thank you again to the production team and all of the affiliates and to People's Action Institute. I really appreciate this. Let's bring this energy forward. Let's organize for change. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed some fun tunes and were able to get into all of the forms that you needed and get in contact with folks if you couldn't, so that we can share this blueprint and go forth and organize. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.